Okay, so in order to elaborate more on this, let's take an example. Okay, so now let's say we have a client that is ACBT and they want us to build their LMS. Obviously, their LMS is suck, so definitely they need a new one. No? Okay, so now they will come and say, okay, we need a LMS. Okay, we need something like learning.acbt.lk, and it should have these requirements, right? They will say these requirements. So obviously we'll we will be going there and we will be using uh, an approach like maybe observing the existing system, or like brainstorming, giving questionnaires to students what they require from this thing, and there are a lot of ways. So from using just maybe even just using multiple ways, we'll gather the requirement, right? And after gathering the requirement, we'll go and design, right? We'll go and design the product. So on that phase we will be looking at the architecture. We'll be thinking about the class diagrams, how the components are designed and everything, right? And then after design, so now we have the important thing is, now we design the entire solution, right? Now we gathered all the requirements, right? So from the students, from the principal, from the Miss Narangela, okay, from everyone we gathered the requirement. Now we went and designed the entire system, okay? So we thought about the architecture and we thought we developed the class diagram according to all those requirements, okay? And after that we go to the implementation phase. So the coder, he will look at the documentation and he will code, right? And then comes testing. So remember, in this approach, in traditional, this is a very good comparison thing with Agile. Now testing came only after uh, implementation. In reality this is not the case, but since we are doing this comparison for uh, this particular subject, we can mention, okay? So we do that testing after only this thing, after only implementation. So now imagine there was some mistake while we were doing the design phase, okay? Now there has been some sort of a mistake. Now it went to now I'm talking about a major mistake, huh? Not a simple GUI or something like that, a major mistake. And then you implement the system, and while you were checking you found out, there's a mistake. Now it's a big problem, because why? Now we have spent so much of our resources on a product which has a failure, okay? Now imagine if you have to throw this product away, all the resources, right? All the time that we spent on this product will be a waste, okay? Now, now let's look at the same problem using the agile approach. So with the agile approach, after getting to know that ACBT wants to develop an LMS system, we will go there and we will ask from different stakeholders. Okay, so these stakeholders will be just like I told you guys earlier, students, principal, Mr. Angela, okay? And we'll be getting the requirements, right? So when we are getting the requirement, now first first when so at the first phase we just want the LMS, okay? We don't want any additional, commenting stuff, or maybe posting threads or connecting to YouTube or whatever. We are not going to look at. We just want the primary needs, right? And when we are gathering the needs, now for example, Miss Narangela say, I would like to have these features and these features and all that. And we categorize it according to this Moscow principle. So I'm not going to go through the Moscow principles because you guys already know about this. And from that, uh, from so now we have the requirement. Okay, now we have the requirement, and we have a team called solution team. Okay, solution team. So the solution team has all the requirements with them now. Okay, now this is the time box that they talk about. So inside the, now the solution team will categorize what are the most important, okay, must haves, should haves, could haves, and won't haves, okay, for this time, won't have for this time. Okay, and how this works is, now let's say usually this time box has a time period of 14 days. This may differ from the organization to organization, but let's say we the must have the M must have feature is, let's say adding marks. Okay, so adding marks is a must have. And then let's say should have photo. Okay, some, I'm just coming up with some random requirements. And could have also something, and won't have also, let's say won't have, I don't know, something. Okay, so now this has a 14-day period, right? Now the solution team have to develop this product, the must haves. Okay, now these must haves within this given 14 days, this is a must. Okay, you cannot go past these 14 days. Okay, but you have the other resources at your fingertips. Okay, that means the solution team have the sorry instead of a time, solution team can alter the cost. Okay, so that means solution team can require for more money or for more resources. For example, if they want resources, when I say resources, it can be even uh, like people resources. Let's say they want some information from the architects, so that kind of things are available for the solution team at all times. Okay, and now they have to come up with this must have at that time. Now let's say there are 6 people in this solution team, and 4 of them complete their work within 8 days, and 2 of them are left with uh, 2 requirements to be completed, that is must have. Now the other people won't move to the should haves or could have. First thing is to finish off this must have, so all the people will get together and finish this first, and after that, after finishing this only, they will think about the should haves. Now another one thing is, after doing this phase, okay, after completing this phase, then they will plan the next phase. So on the next phase also, there'll be some sort of a requirement that they will be prioritized using Moscow. So at the end of the at the end of one time box, they they come up with the next time box. And now here's the key, right? Now you have this product, now you have this adding marks thing. Now you go and show it to the ACBT people. Now you can tell them, okay, this is what is happening with the system in case of marks. So if there is a problem, then Miss Narangela would say, no, no, I want it changed. I want to have in this way. So this way, we will not lead to a catastrophic failure. Okay, we will not lead to a catastrophic failure because we always show the customer what we are going through. Okay, so it's not like we went and built an entire system, and at the end of the day, the client is saying, this is not what I want, you build something else. So it's not like that. Okay, so that being said, now this has few things that we should compare with traditional and agile approach. Sorry. So in terms of money, right? In terms of money, agile estimates money when they have the scope, right? So they do all the estimations before starting the project. Now because of this, estimations may not be accurate, okay? Because when you are actually developing and when you are actually working, the estimations may differ, but those estimations are not like the those estimations are not taken in. So what I'm trying to say is that in traditional approach, because you are doing the cost estimation at the start of the project, the estimation won't be accurate compared to agile. In agile, you estimate in each of these time boxes, which mean in each of these iterations. So since you are doing that way, it is more accurate, okay? That is one thing. Sorry. The other thing is, now if you take uh, big companies with big project, for example, they tend to go towards traditional approach. Why? Because they like the way of how checks are being sent and forth. So now in agile approach, the solution team has whatever they want, okay? But the only thing is they can't compromise on quality and they can't compromise on time. They have all the other requirements they have, sorry, all the other information and all the other resources at their fingertips. Now now the other thing is, now sometimes now I'm taking in the PPP part also, okay? Private public partnership. Now sometimes private public uh, private public partnerships comes up. So what is the reason for this? So the reason for this is that in if you give the public uh, sorry, if the private companies are much more quicker and efficient and have standards of building stuff comparatively to the uh, public, okay? So they would rather give their product to be built by a private company. Now also private industries are very motivation, their employees are more motivated, they are very innovative and they have the drive in them, okay? So all of these reasons come up to the cost of public organizations working with private, right? now Now it is being said that even though uh, lot of IT projects go have failed and fall into scope creep, most of the projects that are done with agile have been succeed, okay? So that is a really good point that we can mention on the exam. And then uh, what else? Mm, yeah, scope. We have to talk about scope creep also. Okay, now in traditional we have the scope here, no? So after that, if the requirements are keep continuously coming into the project, there'll be a problem, and the project will fall into a scope creep, right? But with agile approach, since you are welcoming new additions, this won't be a problem, okay? Because you can accommodate the new requirements as they come in. All right.